Hello and welcome to the weekly wrap-up. I'm Leon and this is Louise.
Coming up on this week's show, we've got 4 things you need to know about Remedy's game TV show hybrid, Quantum Break.
There's a stack of interesting and frankly disturbing stats from the Division's closed beta.
But first, we've had an update on Titanfall 2's story and confirmation that it's definitely not going to be an Xbox One exclusive. Just like the fact that we know Leon will give me a death stare when I pun, we've always had a feeling that Titanfall 2 would be making its way to both consoles. But now we've had more confirmation from Respawn's lead writer, Jesse Stern.
In a welcoming PS4 hug, Stern said this is going to be widely available, I believe on all platforms. He also revealed a single-player campaign that will be, and I quote, grounded, dirty, human and real.
Yes, we are still talking about a game with giant robots dropping from the sky. Stern also talked about the story itself, which will be a vision of grand global colonial warfare, retelling the story of the American Revolution and the American Civil War in space.
Don't you mean in space? Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, that sounds suitably grounded. Add in machines that were designed for excavation and construction being used as instruments of war, and we've got an exciting sounding sequel.
In space!
Yes, well, development is still ongoing, with Stern saying they're only a year and a bit into production. He says they should be finished by the end of this year or the start of next.
Now this ties in with EA's fiscal 2017 release date for Titanfall 2. However, a set of McFarlane Titanfall 2 models has been cited for release at the end of this year, so someone somewhere might be telling giant neck porkies. We'll keep you updated.
But do you still care about Titanfall, whether you're in space or not?
Mike Finley sounds happy. All platforms, that's great. I wanted to try it out but couldn't, and wouldn't because it was only online and Xbox 360. Now it might be multi-platform, and the offline single-player campaign for the PS4. I'm sold.
Kenny Newton, on the other hand, isn't convinced. I'm not waiting for this at all. This future bullshit has killed FPSs for me, he says. The market is overflooded with these types of games. The developer who dares to take on another time period and do it well will cash in big time.
In other news, despite saying it had wrapped on Uncharted 4 mocap, Naughty Dog has sneaked back into the studio for more.
Metal Gear Online's Cloaked in Silence add-on is out in March and finally lets you play as Quiet.
And Michael Fassbender has been comparing his Assassin's Creed movie to The Matrix, the red or the blue blade.
Remedy has been showing off some more Quantum Break.
It's about time.
Oh, they have been working on it for a while.
No, the game. It's about time.
Terrible jokes out of the way, we've got 4 things you need to know about the game based on our extended hands-on.
Number 1, it's basically Max Payne 4. If you're a fan of Remedy's time-manipulating shooting mechanics, then this is all win. There's more combat than the more story-focused Alan Wake, extending the classic slow-mo dive with a suite of other time-bending abilities.
Which brings us on to number 2. The powers are great. Time Stop is your go-to, letting you freeze people or bullets. Time Shield creates a protective barrier and lets you smash through enemies if you're feeling antisocial. And then there's Time Dodge, and its more powerful cousin Time Rush that lets you dash about at speed and bowl through bad guys like angry Skittles with guns. And there's Time Vision, your standard magic eye mode to highlight enemies and objects.
The third thing you need to know is that the in-game show is a little low rent, but does include 42 variations stemming from the choices you make. These affect the story and events in the game. However, there is only one ending.
And number 4, there's a bundle on the way. The Xbox One Special Edition Quantum Break bundle includes a 500GB Cirrus White Xbox One controller, a download of Quantum Break and Alan Wake, including its DLC, The Signal and The Right.
If you want to let us know what you think of Quantum Break so far, you can drop us a tweet to @GamesRadar or @Shiny_Demon.
Or even @Leon Hurley. Well, we all know you played a lot of The Division over the game's closed beta, but we didn't know quite how much until now.
It turns out that Murder reached serious highs, with a massive 298 million lambs to the slaughter over 621 million minutes in figures released by Ubisoft this week.
There's also the terrifying fact that one agent out there spent 90 hours playing the beta, which would be fine if it hadn't only been 120 hours long. I wonder if he used my bucket trick.
Oh, sounds like the Dark Zone would not just be in the game. Blah. On a lighter note, a whopping 15 billion bullets were fired, 9 million grenades went boom, and, most importantly of all, 7,184,867,422, those 22 is important, car doors were closed.
Now, if you can't wait to get closing more car doors, the open beta for The Division kicks off next week on February the 18th on Xbox One and then one day later on PS4 and PC.
Yep, it'll close on February 21st, which isn't long, but you won't need to be on any kind of waiting list. There's also a new story mission to get your teeth, well, gun into, and a special reward for the final game that you can claim by playing the open beta.
If you've made plans though, don't worry, we've not got long before the final game is out on March the 8th.
And I hate to sound like a Nintendo console, but you are allowed to take breaks every so often.
Yeah, 90 hours. This week's advice is not to create your very own Dark Zone. See you next week.
See ya.